Libya could be one step away to the formation of a new government after the country's presidential council announced the formation of a revised national unity government. The plan, which will see 18 ministers run the country, has been sent to Libya's internationally recognized parliament for approval. The new proposals were agreed by most delegates from rival Libyan factions on Sunday. They met in the Moroccan city of Skhirat in an attempt to end a political vacuum that has engulfed the country since 2011.
This government has been created today, and we have sent a list to Parliament for approval.
We have 13 ministerial posts and 5 ministries of state. The ministerial posts are Defense, Finance, Interior, Foreign Affairs, Justice, Local Authorities, Economy and Industry, Social Affairs, Employment, Health, Education, Planning and Transport.
Now let's discuss this further and get some regional and international perspectives on this developing story. We're joined by CCTV's Yasser Hakim in Cairo and Jack Barton is live for us in Brussels. Yasser, that revised proposed government now awaits parliamentary approval. Should we expect a smooth passage through that process?
No, it's never easy in Libya or even in the region to pass through any government, especially in the circumstances Libya is going through. There's one good aspect in this government, and that is it's only 13 ministers and 5 ministers of state, and this was a demand by the members who turned down the first government, saying the first government with 32 ministers, that's a big number. That will cause a lot of confusion, will cause a lot of complications, and also too big for a country that is facing a lot of economic issues, and that will mean a lot of expenses for the government, 32. Now, this smaller cabinet is much better, but maybe one problem might be in the Ministry of Defense. The Minister of Defense that's been chosen, Mahdi al-Barghouti, is someone who's not so popular with another segment of the internationally recognized government who wanted Khalifa Haftar, the current head of the army, who's staging the war on the ISIL in Libya right now. And choosing another one has caused some kind of differences between even the presidential group itself. One of the presidential group, al-Barghouti, has quit the group, the presidential cabinet, this last couple of days because he wanted Khalifa Haftar to continue in his post and to be the defense minister. So this also remains to be seen whether this will affect the voting for choosing this government or ratifying this new government.
Jack, EU foreign affairs ministers are meeting today. While Libya may not be among the key issues on the agenda, we of course expect they will be paying some close attention to what is happening there now. Have we had any reactions yet from that end on these latest developments?
Yes, we have. Those ministers have been arriving over the past few hours. A number of them have mentioned the new developments in Libya, chief among them, of course, being the EU's foreign policy chief, Federica Mogherini, who mentioned this as her first statement as she turned up at the council. And she said this new council lineup, a smaller lineup, as Yasser just mentioned, is a real breakthrough. But she also gave a clear indication that they don't expect an immediate formation of a normal government. As we just heard, there are still many hurdles. We do know also that many MPs on both sides of those rival governments in Tripoli as well as in Tobruk still oppose the formation of this coalition government. So she did not set a date of when she said the EU thought it would push through. She just said she hoped it happened soon. But the EU has been a strong backer of this United Nations brokered process. There's a lot at stake for Libya, but of course a lot at stake for Europe as well, given that still a large number of migrants or human traffickers use the lawlessness of Libya to give the passage of a large number of migrants through to Europe, but also the fact that ISIL has taken such a big foothold there, particularly in Sirte, the former stronghold of Muammar Gaddafi, and the fact that unlike in Syria and Iraq, their existence there is relatively unchallenged, and they are managing to spread their tentacles deeper and further down into Africa.
Right. So, Yasser, how is this proposal being viewed there in Egypt and the region, considering the regional interest in seeing a stable Libya?
Well, Egypt has been calling several times for the formation of this government and for hoping that all political sects of the Libyan spectrum to approve a government and work together. Egypt said it will support a government if ratified by the Libyan parliament, and that it has to work with this government on a crackdown on terrorism and on ISIL. Egypt and neighboring North African countries have been the most affected by the spread of ISIL in Libya and of other Islamist militias as well, as they have managed to infiltrate through the borders, whether to Egypt or Tunisia, and wreak havoc in some areas in those two countries. So Egypt has been working hard with the political leaders in the region, especially in Libya. Faiz Sarraj was in Egypt 10 days ago, and he stayed for 5 days in Egypt. And Khalifa Haftar, the head of the army, was also in Egypt for 3 days. And they have been working closely with the Egyptian politicians to try to reach some kind of a government that Egypt would work with and the Arab countries would work with to try to end the terrorism and also to bring back peace to the Libyan country.
So, Jack, we also understand that the EU ministers will also be discussing the situation in Somalia and Burundi. What more can you tell us?
They're going to be discussing recent policy initiatives, giving them a review, but we're also potentially expecting some new announcements today. In the case of Somalia, there's been a recent aid package to assist internally displaced people there, but the EU also last week cut its budget by 20% of the African Union's peacekeeping force in that country. It's been 9 years there, combating the Al-Qaeda-linked Al-Shabaab militia. The African Union has been very critical of that budget cut, so there's going to be a review and a discussion on that today. But in the case of Burundi, some ministers are pushing for an announcement today to be made that all direct funding from the European Union would be cut to that country, and the EU is the largest contributor of aid to Burundi in the current period up to 2020. It's estimated to be worth around $468 million. So that would be a big blow, all linked of course to President Pierre Nkurunziza winning that third term in office, which his critics say are illegal, breaches a treaty that brought the country's civil war to an end, a civil war that killed hundreds of thousands of people. So we're going to have a big discussion on that, but the ministers say even if there's an announcement cutting all direct aid, that aid that flows directly through to the people on the ground in Burundi, that will remain untouched.
All right, Jack Batten, live for us there in Brussels, and Yasser Hakim in Cairo. Thank you both for joining us. Now, let's get some more insights and analysis on the viability of this proposed unity government in Libya. And Dr. Ali Mustafa is a conflict and prevention analyst. He joins us live here in our Nairobi studios. So, Dr. Mustafa, we've seen several false starts in attempts to establish a unity government for Libya. Do you expect success this time around?
Yeah, this just might, and I'm saying just might, it's still challenged. Of course, it's an important first step, but the deal is challenged by a number of issues. One is the legality and legitimacy of that particular deal. Secondly, it's the ownership of that. Were people consulted to ensure that there is a wide support from across the Libyan population? And thirdly, the question of ISIS. ISIS is becoming stronger in Libya, and the security vacuum that ISIS filled is something that has not been addressed yet. And lastly, how will the new government move to Tripoli, yet there are a number of rival militias that do not agree to that particular deal?
Right. So you brought about, of course, the point of insecurity in Libya and the presence and growing influence of ISIL and their affiliate militia there in Libya have raised the stakes for efforts to restore stability. Now, beyond the possible political solution, what kind of a military solution may be required to fix Libya?
Libya will need definitely to have some form of external support to resolve the security challenges that the new government is going to face, and it's not likely that with such a number of militias operating across Libya, in the east, in the west, in central Libya, the tribes that still feel marginalized after the revolution that started in 2011, Libya is definitely going to need external support. And this external support will likely come or is likely to succeed if it's going to come from the Arab countries.
All right, Dr. Ali Mustafa, live here in Nairobi. Many thanks for joining us.